you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's Brook. I'm here with Mike on draft day, Cleveland, Ohio, 80 degrees and sunny. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing. Let's do this. This is going to be our pre-draft pod. And of course, we'll do one, on Saturday, Sunday after, the last rounds. So beautiful day. Let's, our Super Bowl, about the only thing the Browns fans can get excited about. So go ahead, Bear.
So what I'm going to ask is, first question is, what do you want to see happen tonight with the Browns? Not what you think, what you want to see happen.
I want to see, to really get into the Super Bowl and win it, you had to have a legacy draft. I mean, the Steelers had it. I mean, that legendary, I think it was like 74. They literally picked 4 Hall of Famers in that draft. Mike Schmidt, the center. Mike Webster, the center. Jack Ham. Lane Swann. Franco Harris. You believe that? That was one draft. Then they had 2 other guys they drafted, ended up being all pro. 49ers under Bill Walsh had a phenomenal legacy draft. Jimmy Johnson, he found sucker in Minnesota. They traded Herschel Walker to them, who turned out to be a bust. They got a haul from Minnesota. And they used that to rebuild the Cowboys.
So in summary, you just want them to hit a couple picks that are going to be just absolute home run, all pros type of players.
Right. I think one of the things that's different now, the draft is so much more competitive. It's analytic. Back in the day, I mean, you could find a Mike Ditka who would be too stupid to understand the value of draft. That's when he traded this whole draft board to get Ricky Williams. Of course, we shouldn't talk. We have Jimmy Haslam, who keeps thinking just because he's a billionaire, he's a sharp poker player. So yeah, a long answer to your question, Brooke. I think it really is about just hitting a bunch of triples, doubles, home runs in this draft. And the Browns really need it. And I'll cut Andy Berry some slack in his organization up until the Deshaun Watson fiasco, which I guess I'm going to start blaming Jimmy Haslam on. Although Berry should have just, treated him like a 10-year-old and said, no, but we're not going to go down that road again. Andy Berry, the last time he had a first-round draft pick, that was a pretty good draft he had. It was a draft. He got Njoku, right?
Oh, no. That was
Ron Dorothy. Dorothy. Sashi.
Yeah. The last first-round pick, I believe, was Greg Newsome.
I don't even think he was a first-rounder.
It was either Newsome or Jedrick Wills, who is a free agent. So, I think, I think Andrews hit some good picks, Martin Emerson, Cedric Tillman, JOK, but I think for me, in my perfect kind of dream scenario is, they take a real impact player at number 2. Hopefully that's Travis Hunter. Hopefully at number 33, they take the best player available, whether that's, a tackle. I mean, the running backs in this class are like out the charts. And again, in my kind of dream scenario is they find a quarterback, let's say like in the 4th round, like a Will Howard from OSU, let him learn behind Joe Flacco. He comes in, at a halfway point in the year and he just lights it up, kind of like what happened with the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, Terry Pluto did a great on his podcast. Terry Pluto, the one of the longtime columnists for the Plain Dealer, Cleveland Plain Dealer. And he did a study on quarterbacks. And he said, you go back the last 5 draft picks, and there were a lot of busts in that first round. And, you got Brock Purdy, who was picked in the 4th round. Russell Wilson picked in the 3rd round. And then, of course, you have this phenomenon now of Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. And, they get a second chance with a good team, and all of a sudden their potential is realized.
So, yeah, and I could argue back that number 2 pick last year, who that was.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess his only 2 out of the 8 quarterbacks picked the last 4 draft picks were good. Stroud was good, and then of course you get the Eagles, who are the gold standard in the draft.
Well, I mean, and they picked their quarterback.
Yeah, and they let him develop. He was like 3rd round, wasn't he?
2nd round. I mean, I think the guy, like, if we want to get specific here, obviously I want Travis Hunter at number 2. Everything that's been said about this guy is he's just a stand-up. He just lives, breathes football. He's super smart. I think he's got a 3.9 GPA.
Yeah.
He's just a stand-up guy.
Generational player.
Yeah. Hopefully they take him at 2. The only way I would, like to see the Browns move back up into the 1st round is if a guy like Shadur just starts to slide. Then I would be, yeah, okay, let's, we can go up and grab him. But the one name that everyone is talking about, the guy who's got the highest ceiling, and the guy who just is as I think one guy said, he's just a real like locker room stand-up guy. Hardest worker, first guy in, last guy out, is the quarterback from Alabama, Jalen Milroe, who is a definite project. But hey, that's why you go out and sign a Joe Flacco. You let him develop. You do not do what the Colts did with their quarterback. They rushed him out, and now he's got the yips. And ironically, our new offensive coordinator, I believe, was the offensive coordinator at Alabama when he was there. So there's some connection there. I could see that happening.
Yeah. Well, it's all speculative. We do our follow-up podcast in a couple of days, or post-mortem. It'll all. I think Andrew Berry is going to have a good draft. We got to make sure Jimmy had, and somebody just go sit in the corner. We'll let you know when it's over. But I don't want to waste a high picks on a quarterback. I get, if Jalen Milroe falls to like 3 or 4, that's good. Then maybe the Browns move up. I mean, we're talking about draft capital. Browns have the highest amount of draft capital points, right?
Yeah.
So they have flexibility to move around the board if they see an opportunity. But I mean, we got needs. We got left tackle.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message, and guess what? We'll call you back.
Yeah, I think their first couple picks are going to be just like offense,
Yeah, running backs, good
running
backs. Yeah,
get a tackle, get Travis Hunter, and then on day 3 on Saturday, I mean, that's where you can maybe take a chance on some other needs. But I guess the next question is, what would the Browns have to do is like the last thing that you want to see them do tonight?
I don't want them to get to overthink this. That's the last thing I want to do. I mean, the Godfather offer comes in from Jacksonville. No. Travis Hunter is, there's no, I mean, it's just crazy, stupid offer. I mean, the only thing I can think of about Travis Hunter, and of course, this is what happens with the Browns, is the Courtney Brown phenomenon. Courtney Brown was the second pick. He was the Myles Garrett of that draft. Courtney Brown out of Notre Dame. And of course, his first game, microfractures his knee. Could you believe that? That's typical Browns luck right there.
Better
and I can see, I'm running. I'm in the dining room, Derek. There are a lot of pieces of wood here. Like Travis Hunter. I mean, he's not a big guy, but I guess it really doesn't matter. I mean, look at Cedric Tillman. I mean, he was having a good season. I really think that get Nick Chubb in the running back room, sign him. Ford is a good running back. Get one of these young running backs.
Get one of them Buckeyes.
Exactly. I would not mind if they took that Buckeye quarterback, Will Howard. I mean, he could be a Brock Purdy type guy.
Well, yeah, and I meant to Ohio State's got 2 running backs who they're projecting to go either late first round or early second round.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the Browns got to get back to what their formula was, which is, I mean, even if you had a Jameis Winston in there, Jameis Winston without Ken Dorsey as the OC, you're passing the ball 20 times. Okay? You're not passing it 50 times. 20 times, you stay under control. You do what Baker did, that last great year the Browns had, that COVID year when they beat the Steelers in the playoffs. I mean, it was Nick Chubb. It was ball control the ball, methodical. Good defense. Not a shutdown D like the Steelers have, but no, there's a lot to be said for that. I think that's what the Browns have to get back to. And it's just a shame that they wasted last year with the Deshaun Watson experiment. And I got to say one more thing about Deshaun Watson. Get this off my chest. Deshaun Watson should just come out publicly and say, I want to apologize to Browns fans for my play. I know you gave up a lot of draft capital, paying me a lot of money. I get hurt. You deserve better. I'm sorry that, my tenure there didn't work out. Come on, that's what Jesus would do. Okay. He says he's a reborn Christian. So, but, getting back, I mean, really walk the talk in terms of character. So Travis Hunter, Nick Chubb, Miles in the locker room, get the character people, Batonio, Wyatt Teller, get a good O-line coach. The Browns are not that far away from turning it around.
No, I'm with you. You hear some of these podcasts and, they're just ripping the Browns and their roster. And I'm like, their roster's not like, is it the Philadelphia Eagles? No, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
They've got pieces, they just need, smart coaching. They need a quarterback who, is not going to turn the ball over, and run the ball, good defense, and, get a game changer. And the only game changer on the offensive side in this draft, at least now on paper, is Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people forget Miami Dolphins when they had the undefeated season. You know what turned around their season? Was they made that trade again with the hapless Browns. Art Modell, the Jimmy Haslam of the 60s and 70s. Jimmy Haslam, Art Modell, I should call him Art Haslam. He trades Paul Warfield to the Dolphins. Paul Warfield, Hall of Fame, wide receiver in his prime, to the Miami Dolphins for a first-round pick so they can draft Mike Phipps. You remember Mike Phipps?
I have no idea who that is. I remember Johnny Manziel.
He wasn't Johnny Manziel, but Mike Phipps was just one of the heralded, Tom, again, you draft quarterbacks in that first round, it is still a lottery.
Oh, it's such a gamble. It's like, you look at Brock Purdy, you look at Dak Prescott, but then you look at guys like Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, like, I think at the end of the day, it has to be a quarterback who fits well with the team and the system. And so I'm excited, and I am curious to see, if there's any movement, after they pick at number 2.
Yeah, exactly. I think that what's gonna, you said earlier, we got the 33rd pick, the number 1 pick on day 2.
Oh, we've got so many picks. It's so great.
We got, we can pick up some good linemen, good running back. Maybe, another piece of good news, JOK coming back.
We got 2, 33, 67, 94, 104. So like that alone, just those 5 picks.
5 picks in the top 100.
Yeah.
So running back, impact player at number 2, Travis Hunter, which in any other year would have been the number 1 pick. So let's bookmark this, Brook, and we'll have another quick podcast on Saturday, which will drop on Monday. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks, Brook.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts, like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.